welcome to another edition of Talking About Photos with Strangers, or talking with strangers about photos. Honestly, whichever I decide to call it this week. We're back again with the boy Leica Lee de Leon, and of course, Goat Coleman, Dorian Coleman himself.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, man? So it's been a while since we've done this. Quite a while. I mean, I feel like it's been a couple weeks and whatnot. I've even had a couple. We've tried to. We've had it fall through. We've had family stuff, dates, work. It's been tough, man.
Yes. Dates or lack thereof, maybe.
Exactly.
But whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So today I'm drinking a nice red wine. YouTube won't strike me for that because it's non-alcoholic per se. Lee, what are you drinking on?
Well, we have LaCroix at the house regularly, so I got the cherry limeade one, but we put perfect. A little bit of vodka because we don't mess with the Russian stuff.
Okay, there you go. So. Perfect. Dorian, what about you? You got nothing?
Man, I'm drinking on that just got home from work juice. So I have absolutely nothing. I'm running on fumes, but had to be here for you guys. So
good deal.
Hey.
All right, man. Right. Good deal. So let's get into it. I've posed these questions to you guys, and they're ones that I've been thinking about frequently. We've had conversations about these, and I've had conversations with other people about them as well. But we'll kind of break them up where we can talk about them in detail, and I'll give you guys much time as you need to discuss them, because they're pretty. There's some things that you can vamp on and things that I think like a lot of people have thought about. So for you guys, and we're keeping it in the aisle of street photography just for now, and we can branch out. We can talk about portraits. I know you guys do more than just street every once in a while, but what makes an image good to you? We can go ahead and start. Lee, if you want to start it off, my man.
Yeah, sure. Lately I've been looking at a lot of Elliot and this guy named Jeremy Page. His Instagram is Eaten by Flowers, and what they both have in common is their use of humor. They just make really funny pictures that are easy to understand. Colors are vibrant. Elliot Erwitt does a lot of like black and white stuff, but if a picture makes me laugh or makes me feel some sort of like emotion just like that, that's what makes it good to me. One other thing that I really love about quote unquote good pictures for me is just made me question what was going on in that photographer's mind.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to shoot this? What was going on in your head? Like, what were you dealing with at the time, and why did you press the shutter? Like, asking those layered questions is what keeps me on that image, so to speak. So those are what I can kind of quantify. Talk about layers. We can talk about proportion and all that, but I'm just trying to feel something. Most of the time. So
Agreed.
Dorian.
Yeah. And to branch off a lot of what you were just saying, we absolutely agree. When you get to those photos, and this isn't to talk down to anybody who does this kind of stuff, because honestly, the level of attention you have to give to it is pretty mind-boggling. But when it comes to this part of the frame is full and that part and that part of this person's layered back here.
Yeah.
It's technically excellent. Like, it really is. But I wouldn't say that those are the ones that really stick to my ribs. I'm going to have to go with Lee. I'm really attracted to ordinary life, but slight commentary or just catching people in the middle of living their life. So when it comes to things like families laughing together, having fun, or seeing friends walking down the street, or really just anything where people are interacting, doing an activity, things like that. Yeah, you can make a story out of anything, but even if it's something like a simple composition where that's happening, that's usually going to catch me more than, again, all 27 parts of a frame being full.
Right.
And again, maybe it's because I don't have that level of attention. That definitely could be a shortcoming of my own, but I would definitely say that anything more humanistic and ordinary. I'm not really one for the, walking past the wall and it's like a graffiti art of somebody digging up their nose and the person digging up the nose at the same time. Like, I don't just do anything for me.
So do you guys feel like your work right now, or the things that you guys gravitate, like the stuff that's in your camera roll, that's in your Lightroom and stuff, do you feel like that's a direct representation of the way that you feel of what you feel a good image is? Or do you feel like you more long to make images like that versus what you're actually taking photos of?
Well, I would say right now in March 2022, I mean, this could definitely change in a couple of months. I would say right now I'm making the images that I would like to be making. And even when it does come to that aspect of being inspired by somebody, I mean, there definitely is that, but I do try to be careful of letting it end there. You know, there definitely is a healthy aspect of, I mean, I made a video about this that nobody fucking watched, but it is important. It is important to copy people that you want to learn from to a degree, because you get to learn those aspects of their style. Yeah. But I feel like I'm at a point, at least right now, where I try to just let someone who I like be someone who I like, because I finally feel like within the last year or so, I've really walked into my own photographic voice, and I want to stay there as long as possible. Breathe in all the challenges, breathe in wherever it takes me, and kind of go from there. So I like what I'm making right now, but I'm sure when I'm 28, that'll change. Yeah. So
what about you, Lee?
I am 28 now, and I'm just now feeling the same way Dorian is at the moment. So, you know, I'm experimenting, man. As far as me feeling like I'm encapsulating what I want to make, not right now. I'm in my like 30,000th for this stage right now, where I'm learning constantly and evolving, and not really trying to give a shit about anyone else's opinion. Because that was huge for me. I'm a very anxious dude, and people's perceptions of what I make were super critical for my process. But now it's like I'm just trying to make whatever I want, and I'm going to stick to one lens and one body and really explore that. Yeah, I'm doing the DC right now. So
right.
So right now I'm just going 28, simple as can be. Really getting inspired by Gary Winogrand right now, and his kind of like lackadaisical approach to street photography and photography in general, where he basically just like shoots all day just down the street, shooting 1,000 images, you know, and just kind of picking at them and seeing what he can land. And that's never how I approach things. So I feel like I'm getting close to how I want to present myself photographically. And that's like a beautiful thing for me. I just got to keep going. I just can't be lazy, but I know it's going to be there, you know?
Do you guys feel like you both are, because I feel like this sometimes, feel like I have a tough time figuring out exactly how I want to be represented, because I have so many different kind of influences or things I like to see, whether it be from film, whether it be from artists from, you know, way before, whether it be current artists right now, even things that are just aesthetically pleasing from the standpoint of colors, shapes, and things like that. Do you guys feel like it is kind of hard in order to put yourself out there and put out the work that you want people to see? Because with the ability of having a small, you know, computer in your hand, you can see thousands of images, where before you're really being influenced by things hanging on the wall like Nighthawks, or really comic books, books in general, photo books and things like that, even only a few hours of television. Do you feel like it's harder now to put out the representation of yourself because there's so many avenues and things that look good that you kind of want to dabble in a lot of these things, and you're more experimental in your photography?
I used to worry about that way more when I first started out getting serious about photography. But I think for the sheer fact that there is people hanging things on frames, that there is books that we choose to buy over others, it shows that if you really do just put your teeth in the dirt and stick to what you think is the best images that you can make, you're going to reach that point and not really have to worry about it. I remember when I first started out doing street photography, I was shooting a little bit longer with that 50 f2 and that 35 f2. And I just noticed that there was this kind of homogenous look to all my images. And it's because I wanted to do the thing that would have the least resistance. So I could be the furthest away.
Yeah.
I could probably be the least offensive to people, but I could still get photos.
Yep.
Once I started shooting a little wider, I'm not going to credit only the lens with it, but I noticed not only were the things that I was going for a bit more varied and experimental in the approach, but in that my style became more level, but how I was exploring it was going in a variety of ways.
Gotcha.
And even though wanting too much of an opinion from other people can be a hindrance, hearing feedback from people who aren't too well versed in art can actually be some of the most beneficial, because they'll be able to tell you that gut feeling about what it is about your work. D, if I showed you a photo of mine right now, I mean, you would look at it and you'd say, Dorian, you did this, you did that. It's nice because you're my boy. But you would look deeper into it.
Yeah.
I would do the same with Lee. But if I was a random person, you showed me one of your photos, I'm going to say the first thing that pops into my head.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the most honest. Just like how when Gary was walking around, doing whatever he was doing with that Leica, he's just getting that shot and figuring out what it was later.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's where your style is. So honestly, it was much more difficult in the beginning, but the less I thought about it, the easier it got.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Same for you, Lee?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many artists now. I'm not going to say quote unquote artists because in their own definition, they're definitely artists, right?
Yeah.
I support all of it. Maybe except for the in your face, like really invasive, crazy shit. But yeah, no, totally piggybacking on Dorian, man. Like, yeah, you're in the sea of artists, but producing core memories and showing that to people is just, it's what feeds my soul. And it's what's important to me. And that's what I want to show to people. I couldn't give a shit whether or not I could be the next Joel Meyerowitz. I want to be able to show people who I'm around, where I'm around, and how I make people feel, especially with the 28 millimeter, getting close up and asking for portraits and stuff. So, that's me.
I got you now. So the next question I have has to do with uniqueness and exactly what you consider a unique image, if it's even something that is quantifiable to be able to discuss. I mean, because there are going to be people that talk about unique images are going to be the things that are one in a million, stuff in a war-torn country, etc. Maybe like, for me, sports photography, things like that. But at the same time, just because a situation with certain people at a certain time, certain date can't be replicated, the emotion, the feeling could be replicated in another way to another person in a completely different avenue. And so what exactly to you guys would you consider is a unique image, or what makes images unique? Is it more the photographer? Is it more the moment? Does it have to do a lot with the genre? Does it just have to do with luck, being there in the moment? And so what exactly drives the idea of having a unique image, or a lot of people would say further on for an artist, a unique look and style to their photos?
You want to take it first, Lee? Or you think I got it?
You got it, bro.
I think about this a lot, man. And especially with street photography, I'll tell people who ask me about what I do. I basically tell them that it's vigilante photojournalism.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, photojournalism isn't about you. Now, of course, how you frame the shot is very you. I mean, Lee and I can see the exact same scene in front of us. We might attack it totally differently, right? But what I've noticed over the past couple of years is that my favorite photographs, I was there, but what made them great was what the people were doing. Not even to discredit myself in a way if it seems like that, but my favorite shots were people showing their personality. It didn't even have to be in an aggressive way.
Yeah.
I've come across one of my favorite ones. I was near the Bean in Chicago, and there was this little kid who was kind of in front of my shot, but I was moving away so that he wouldn't get in front of it because I was trying to get one of the Bean. And every time I was getting ready to frame it, he would like crawl in front of my viewfinder. So I moved to the side a bit more, and then he crawled even more. And then we made a little bit of a game out of it. And after a while, he finally stopped. Kid's like 1 year old. And I got a photo. To this day, that's one of my favorites. And it's just this little kid just sitting there. Now, is it my favorite because of how it looks? Is it my favorite because of the moment that we had? I think it's both. And the people who tell me about that one tell me that they can see sort of the playful, innocent spirit in the kid. How much of that really has to do with me? You know, so in no way is that discrediting the photographer, because we have a pretty important job. But when you really think about it, and I'm kind of curious about you guys too, how much of your favorite images was the person versus how well it was composed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's the latter for sure. And yeah, I think what makes an image unique to me is a culmination of all those criterias that Dee just mentioned, right? Like for me, I think you have to make your own luck. You have to be out there. You have to really know how to interact with a lot of people, right? With all different kinds of backgrounds. My favorite image, you know, let me see if I can pull it up. It's a collection of images with these guys over here. Sorry, it's overblown, but you can check out my page. But basically, these two brothers are just playing. You know, I started photographing them, but it just didn't feel right. So I kind of like talked to their mom, and I stuck around for an hour just watching these guys play, and they didn't even care. They wanted their pictures being taken, and I don't know. I feel like I just made really great friends for a short time, and I was just there. And I was just documenting their life, and that's unique because I haven't been able to do that ever since, and I've tried. So, so yeah, I mean, again, it's a culmination of a lot of things. You just have to make your luck. You have to know how to be around people, I think. Or you can be the best like Batman you can be and just be invisible and be in the shadows, right? So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely multiple schools of thought, man, because some of my favorite images from, you know, other photographers, you can tell were taken in an instant and it just happened to be like literally the perfect moment. But then there's others where you can tell like they stuck around for a while. Right. And I personally don't care about candid versus uncandid in street photography. It's just another gate for people to keep. Yeah, but a lot of my favorites look candid. But I was talking to these people. Like we had a conversation. And that's why you can see their personality so well. Yeah. Like when you think about, you know, some of these old portrait paintings from like, you know, 400 or 500 years ago, like those people sat there for hours. Mm-hmm. Like they had been talking. They knew each other a little bit. How do you think that much personality shows and we still want to look at it this many years later? You know, we're trying to do hours and hours, even days or even years of work, trying to have all that culminate into a second snapshot. And some people are legends at it. Others are just learning like us. Mm-hmm. But when you put that into perspective, it really makes you think like when you're creating your own luck, you're not often going to find it in milliseconds. Sometimes you got to stick around a little longer. So, yeah.
No, I'd agree. It's something that I've thought about, and I've talked to a couple people. I've talked to a couple people that have mentored me in the past photography recently. And this is something that was brought up through conversations with them too. For me personally, I mean, whenever it comes to uniqueness and what really makes an image good, a lot of it to me actually does have to do with the photographer, just from the idea of different people from different cultures, from different aspects and different places have just different opportunities. And to me, I'm easily impressed with an image of especially if it's in an area that I'm not accustomed to, or if when it's something, whether it's geographical or just like, you know, culturally that I'm not familiar with. It's really easy to impress me with that. And so a lot of times I find the uniqueness just in the fact that the story is different than mine. I've talked to you guys about it. For every one street photography photo that we say, damn, that's amazing, that's a keeper, there's 10,000 bangers that look the exact same that people are just copying and pasting. And I saw XYZ do this, so I'm going to frame it up like this. I'm going to do some natural frame lines like this. I'm going to take a photo of this, that, and the other. And it really sucks because each one of those people has a unique ability to tell a story. They all have an opportunity to tell something. They could live in the same city as you, but on a different side, or just have a different experience with a lot of things. And it's so with every single single opportunity and chance, every photo can be said it's unique, but it really kind of ends up being, from the perspective of a photographer, to me, what makes that unique. I mean, if we were to all, just like you said, go and shoot the same thing, it would be different. But it's not even that. It's honestly just like the perspective of the person personally, not just the focal length or where they're shooting, if they're shooting high and low. And so I always look at, when it comes to uniqueness, especially with street photography, it's one of those few things that every time you shoot street, nothing's really the same twice. Maybe a building, but lighting can change and things like that. And so you have many opportunities to be unique, but a lot of times people take the shortcut of, oh, I want to copy someone else's uniqueness aesthetically. And so they take the shortcut and they think, oh, because I'm taking street, it's automatically going to be special.
I completely agree. And people think that aesthetic shortcut is simply how it's visually arranged. But what that comes from is the personality of that individual. Yeah. So I completely agree that a large amount of this is based on the photographer who's doing it. And we've even talked about this before. Like, you can tell just by looking at his photos that Andre Wagner is a great guy to be around.
Yeah.
You don't get that close, that consistently get those kinds of gestures and emotions from people and not be a people person.
Yeah.
I mean, we say this about Gordon Parks, say this about various other people who aren't as legendary. You can just tell by their style that they have to be good around people. Otherwise, they wouldn't be that close.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also you do have the environmental aspect. And again, this isn't to discredit anybody, but, you know, if you're somewhere like downtown Chicago and you're looking for layers, you know, you can just hit the button and you'll find that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know exactly where you guys are in Texas, but in Cleveland, I mean, you might as well get blood out of a stone before you try searching for some layers, you know? So it's tough. A lot of it is environmental, but I completely agree that so much of style is literally just who you are. And I think the people who are trying to figure that out should probably figure out what they even like about photography.
Yeah.
And then basically after that, you just ride the wave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we've talked about it quite a bit. I think we mentioned it today that I have a belief that if Instagram and Twitter and all social media, if sharing photos on Instagram or Twitter wasn't a thing and you couldn't gain fame by it and likes from it, I have a belief that 90% of people that have purchased a camera in the last decade wouldn't have a camera still today.
Thanks.
100% believe that. I even believe that, you know, probably about 50% of wedding photographers or event photographers, they wouldn't be a part of it either, because a lot of the idea of taking photos is also wrapped up in the idea of I'm special because of this and people will notice me because of this and I'll be able to get accolades. And people that chase accolades are going to continue to find the thing that they can get their accolades from. And so, I mean, you guys know my propensity to sometimes diss on film, but honestly, like a lot of times when I talk to film shooters, it's not even about the fact they shoot film and it's not even about their image. It's about what film stock they shot on or what camera they own and stuff like that, or what lens they use and what kind of things it renders. The image doesn't matter, which is of course evident in the fact that film photography is the only genre or in the only medium of photography where you can take a blurry photo, misfocus, and people will still accept it as something that's artistic. And that drives me wild. Lee, we've talked about how it's frustrating when people, and Dory, we talked about it too, people that are shooting with rangefinder patch cameras, like with an M262 or a 9 or a 10, and they're missing images because they're shooting wide open all the time. How the hell is this acceptable? I mean, it's just, it's completely wild. But again, people chase more than anything the access to notoriety and the access to their name being known more than they do chase something because they want to. And so there are a lot of people that want to give up photography or hate photography, or it's just to them and they feel burnt out and worn down. Not because they're out there busting their ass, but because they're not getting the response that they feel like they're entitled to and deserve. And it's sad for some people.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad for some
I'd love to hear Lee's thoughts on that.
It's pretty much the same, but yeah, there's definitely some insulism in photography for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
right?
Why doesn't he like me? That type of deal. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta. I've been through that. I gotta admit,
Yeah.
I was posting photos just thinking I could get
Neon
somewhere
photos.
with it. Yeah. Shooting wide open. Like, oh my God, this is so good. Why am I getting 30 likes on this image? All this stuff. But you just got to dig deep, man. Like, why are you doing this?
Right.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, it's nasty. I'm not going to lie. But also,
Some grimy
everybody
shit, yeah.
on some level, I don't care how confident you say you are, everybody needs validation from at least somewhere or some place in one area. Everybody.
Yeah.
I definitely think that it does get dangerous when you begin to seek approval, though, because you want approval for something that isn't objective.
Correct.
Like, if you're a basketball player and you score 30 points a game, you can't tell me that that person is a bad scorer. But if you want the whole world to think that a photo is good, when the majority of the world doesn't even know what a good photo objectively is, I mean, you're just asking to lose at that point, and you got to love yourself a bit more. You know,
be secure. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to, be in the same room with some of those photographers, cinematographers, et cetera, that I look up to. But even if that never happens, if Instagram got deactivated tomorrow, I'm still going out to shoot.
Well, for example, if boudoir photography on Instagram wasn't so heavily policed and you could actually post unedited in like NSFW boudoir photos on Instagram, those would without a doubt be the most famous photography profiles, period. And that's the thing is, when it comes to like, not that that's an art, that's an art for itself, but there's majority of the world who they don't give a shit about the lighting, the way you got the model, the outfit, the way you color graded. They care about some titties, and that's all that they care about, my boy. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the thing is like what you said is specifically right. Like a lot of the world doesn't know what a good photo is, but they can feel something from a photo. And as long as it makes them feel good, they don't have to analyze any deeper. But the issue is a lot of people chase the approval of other photographers, and they're the ones who not only psycho or analyze deeper because it's in our blood, but a lot of them are just jealous ass bitches, and they will literally just look at your stuff just to find something wrong. And it's like we've talked about it. It's super goofy. Like people that just can't be like, oh, let anyone get their shine. Or the people that are like, oh, I do just as good as work. Why do they have so many followers? But in the end of it, it goes back to that same thing. People that feel like that are most likely the people that are chasing someone else's aesthetic in order to try to piggyback off of their success using the same hashtags, same thing, trying to be noticed, not because they love photography or because they enjoy the art and the medium of taking photos, but because what can this afford me and who can this help me know and who can it help me tell people I'm followed by? It's all about notoriety.
Right. I agree 10 billion%. And it's almost like when you go out to watch a movie and someone asks you what you thought about the movie or you ask them, but the first thing that we do is critique it. It's like, why don't we just enjoy the movie? Right. I mean, I feel like there's a time and place for critique. And I've tried to have that time and place be visited less and less and less and less and less because it removes the enjoyment aspect. Yeah. And the more you talk to other photographers about things, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, every single one of us with the camera wants to make great images and wants to kind of have a community of people who want to do the same. But when sharing work just becomes I would have done it this way contest. Right. Yeah. You're not really getting anywhere. You're just splitting hairs. And that's why, honestly, aside from you guys, some of the people I've, met through, YouTube, people in the comments, etc., I try to limit that because at the end of the day, how you would have done it is literally impossible because what I did, you could never do because I was there and you weren't. Exactly. It's not because I'm better than you. You literally can't do that. Like it already happened. Yeah.
It's so wild, dude. Like you could be afforded an opportunity and someone will hate on the opportunity. It's like, bro, you're never going to have the same opportunity I had. Why can't you just enjoy this? That's why constructive criticism and things like that, or people trying to get like, I would do this if I were you. Bitch, I don't care because you aren't. You will never have this opportunity to shine. So just kick rocks.
And just let me clarify real quick. We don't mean like, you'll never be as good as us. It's like, no, like I was on the corner of the street at 4:57 p.m. and I took it this way. You can never do that because that's not going to happen again.
You're definitely
So you
not
can give
Dr.
a
Manhattan.
pointer,
Yeah.
but if I don't ask for it, keep it to yourself.
Man, I don't want nothing from no one, man. Honestly,
Right.
every disrespectful, my boy. Every single thing, my boy. People try to tell me, like, boy. Like I have people DM me and they'll be like, "Hey, I like your work. One thing that I would tell you to work on," and I'm like, "Bro,
Block.
I didn't even finish your novel. Let me tell you something. If you're gonna jump in and tell me this is what I would work on, let me tell you something. I don't even have to look at your page. You ain't shit. That's it.
Goodness gracious,
I don't
Lee.
care how many years you say you've been doing it. If you're a professional, bro, the moment that you say this is what I would do, I already know one thing and one thing for sure. I am better than you, my boy, because no person that has ever been above me has ever tried to give me unsolicited advice ever. And it's just something that I've seen, that no person that has ever been trying to help me out has ever given me any kind of advice without me opening that door for them. I've never had that.
I think that is a great point. I think it's a larger point, especially for, both of our audiences to kind of see, like, even if it's us, like, you can watch a video that we made and you can agree with what we said, but you don't have to, like if you have your 1, 2, 5 people, your couple books, your people from the past you like, if that's who you look up to, that's what you learn from, and that's what's getting you further, stick to that. I mean, don't close your eyes and ears to new knowledge, because the worst resource is one that ends where you found it. But be wary of whose comments you listen to, because just because someone would do it that way, like, remember, like, that's a totally different person. Their perspective, of course, is going to be different. Doesn't make you right, doesn't make them right, just makes it different.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
no,
it's almost unconscious, right? Like, you already have the composition in your head, like you're gonna see it again. But man, that shit bugs me too. That's all I gotta say. I'm a little tipsy off of this shit. So, like,
I'm getting there with my
seltzer.
Wine is my wine is my kryptonite. So I'm with you on that. Before I start slurring my words and can't read, let me go ahead and hit you guys up with the final question. It's not the final question, but this is the last one that I for sure had in the format. But basically, what emotions do you guys associate with your work, or with the work of an artist that you love? And what kind of emotions do you want people to associate with your work? And so is it when you take a photo, do you feel something in that moment and say, "Ooh, I know what this transfers," or is it just, this photo is very pleasing, I like this, I like the way these looks? Because I can vary black or white. Either I like a photo because it's got sentimental value, or because there's a certain story and it makes me feel a way, or I like a photo because I say, "Ooh, I lucked out and I got really good layering, really good composition, or I had something really cool happen." There is literally no in between for me. I've never been able to mix it. There's been a few times I've mixed a few, but for the most part, it's either, man, the composition is actually really good and very decent, or it's all the way on this other spectrum to where it's like, man, this is really enjoyable, or something like that. And those are the ones that are a little bit more candid, a little bit more blurry, a little bit more not everything correctly in frame and things like that, straight out of camera. So what exactly kind of emotions do you guys associate with your work and the work of artists that you love? And is emotion what you chase in all of your images, or is it just whatever catches your eye, and then you're kind of breathing that in and analyzing that later whenever you're going in your editing?
Yes. No. I mean, you guys have heard me say it in the chat. It's just, I think instinctually it's natural for me to just shit on myself at the moment, and while I look at my catalog, and I'm like, damn, why did I do that? Why did I do this? And the more I let it sit, the more I fall in love with my images, because I just remember what I felt, and the little like criteria that make an image good, layering, all this stuff. As far as emotions go, I really focus on intimacy and making sure people are comfortable being around me with a camera, right? And I want to translate that into an image. Like, I'm drawing a blank on Stock Easy, Jason Roman, right? Yeah. Like, he can shout out. Yeah, no, Jason Roman's the shit. I really like his recent set, man. Like I don't.
Yeah.
No one else can.
Oof.
This is March 15th, 2022. He posted a set. Yeah, he posted a set about being in a foreign environment, being Black in America, and it was very emotive, very like provocative, and I want to do stuff like that. That's I mean, I know we've been talking about not modeling ourselves one by one to an artist, but that's what kind of feeling I want to produce, right?
Yeah,
whether
absolutely.
it be like showing what it's like being an Asian guy in America right now, or just being with family in a pandemic. Yeah. I want to be able to tell that kind of story that effectively.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, that was a really powerful set by him. And it's kind of like a callback to the previous conversation. It's like he did that and he caught it that way and he expressed it that way because that's who he is and he's lived his life. Right. Someone could have maybe taken similar images, but because of how Jason's lived his life and who he is, he was able to convey that feeling.
Yeah.
But to, sort of answer your question, I would like to think that people, well, let me backtrack. I like to think of my images as having a civilizing effect. And by that, I would just like to expand and say, we're all human after all. If there's anything that I'm proud of with my catalog, and Lee, same to you, man. Sometimes I definitely look back at old images and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? But if there's anything that I am proud of is that it's not all white people. It's not all Black people. It's not all, like, you can see an entire palette of just various backgrounds as people. And I don't actively seek out like, oh, hey, diversity. It's just, I'm drawn to whatever those people are doing at that time. And they just happen to be from, X background. And with that, just to show like, the world isn't as bad of a place as we think it is. And it doesn't have to be as bad as it could be. And whatever I can do and whatever I can learn, and whatever I continue to put forth energy wise, these people I come across, I would just like to keep doing that. Because I really do think that it just takes one or a few people to really make a significant difference. And Cleveland, they say so much bad stuff about it. Like, we're the most depressed, most dangerous, murder rates rising, et cetera, all this. But every time I walk around, even through some of the worst parts of the city, I find great people and great things. So,
yeah. I was looking up while you guys were talking, that set from Jason Roman and stuff like that. And by far, he's done a lot of great things and stuff like that. That might be the best thing. And it's not so much because the images set off by themselves without his perception and his view of everything. They're great images and they're impactful and they're provocative, but there's no detail surrounding them and there's nothing really telling you about the story and everything. It's the ability to jump inside what was going on in his mind that really made that see. Because what happened was, for me personally, I swiped through the images and saw them at the beginning. I got to the last one with the cool coffee club, the KKK. And at that one, I'm like, whoa. So then I go down and I start reading, and from there, everything makes sense. It folds over differently from a symbol that I see as hope and grace. The crosses turns into something of a symbol of hatred and intimidation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The images of, the side of whoever's face, a Black face amongst that, goes from being something fun and candid to being something very stark and dark. The images of the roadways, the images of the shooting turn into something that's very scenic and, just country bumpkin. It's another road trip. Like it's a Grainy Days video, turns into something that is very, it's target practice. It's very dark. It's very gloomy. And then culminating with that final image, and the image of, whoa, that's crazy, turns into the fact that is allowed and the fact that is accepted in an area. I cannot imagine in that moment in time the feeling of worrying my camera looks like a gun, or the feeling of being in a place that is so open about hatred, bigotry, and negativity that you yourself, no matter what you do, can never feel comfortable in that area. And so that's just the way he was able to bring it in. And it's amazing that, the images themselves give off an emotion, but whenever you're taken into the heart of the artist, it turns into something else. It's one of the reasons why I love documentary photography and why I want to hang my hat on documentary photography. Why I recommend street photography so much, because it's just a form of documentary photography. Is every image has a place in everyone's heart, and everyone will have a response. But to know the feeling of that image is more than anything that image can ever do by itself. They go hand in hand. The art of storytelling, where they draw the cave drawings being put on caves, but also it's taken with verbal storytelling, the song, things like that. These are all things that have always go hand in hand. Picture and word has always goes hand in hand. That's why films can be so amazing and provocative as well. But it's just amazing how my initial response was so lighthearted in the assumption that this was all great until I got to the last one. I started reading, and then looking back through every image is a very sickening idea, in the fact that it, like, man, in my mind, I'm thinking, thank God that I don't have to, I'm not in that situation, that I don't have to understand that situation. But also at the same time, dude, like, to really think about it, just about the idea of, it's a sincere thought. Will my camera be mistaken as a gun? And still taking those photos. I mean, hats off to you, Playboy, because I put that shit up.
I mean, it's like, how much bigger and bolder can you spell bravery? Yeah. Right. And, and that's when someone is not afraid to fully throw themselves into the craft, man, like, despite, the awful things that might happen, because, he could have easily seen that stuff, maybe taken one or two of those, not said anything, and not wrote that caption just to play it safe, right? But like, it kind of keeps coming back to this, it's kind of like that half and half that makes the photograph and the photographer. It's like those lampposts, those posters, the world, like, it's here. You just got to open your eyes and it's here. But when you take that camera and you arrange it a certain way, and through that, you put in your perspective, your experiences, your life, that's where the story comes from. Like, people talk about, what is style? Like, it is literally worldview and execution. That is it. Yeah. And 100%. Through that passage, which everybody needs to go look at, it's on Sakizi's page, probably his most recent photo, you're going to see probably one of the clearest examples of that possible. And just hats off to him, man. Seriously.
Yeah. Undeniably deep. Like, when I looked through the images and I read the caption, just a pit just opened up in my stomach, man. Like, and just a big old anvil went into it. It just, it broke me, man. Like, I didn't feel like that with anybody, like, looking at any image really, recently at least. But yeah, shout outs to him, man. That was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it speaks to this whole idea. And again, I hate saying this phrase over again, but we've talked about this. It's this whole idea that people, man, you're you, and you can tell a story about the things you're going through better than anyone else. I actually I'm trying to think, I literally just talked to someone about this the other day, about the fact that, I have an issue with when certain people go into a Hispanic neighborhood and they document things happening in Hispanic neighborhoods, or per se in Mexico, and the impoverished side, and they're going and they're staying in Mexico City in the high risers because they're there on vacation, but they're going and documenting the poverty side. The same thing we have with, like, people documenting people that are experiencing homelessness and things like that. It's this idea that, okay, I want to go and I want to kind of make a jump at this situation to be able to shed some light on this. Not even so much that, like, because it's specific to these people, because I'll be honest, I don't ever see any trailer park white people being documented like they're on their last leg, even though, you know what I'm saying? The same way poverty strikes every other place, the same way that other people are affected by hatred and stuff like that, we really don't ever see all aspects of it. And so my whole thing is, it always makes me think back to There are people that are in that situation, that are living in that poverty, that are living around these things or grew up in it, or are living with a family member who's hurting, or just something. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be something positive, but you can tell that story better than anyone else coming in on a weekend trying to shed some light on it. And you always have opportunities. And it's just this idea and this thing that people, you want people to react to your images. If you don't know that it's real, people won't know that it's real. And so this idea of documenting photography, for me, being one of the purest things, because that's what photography was to document what was going on in life. That's sincerely what what the portion of photography was really brought up. Just the way painting is to capture a moment in time, photography to capture a moment in time. And so it just to me, it's like so many people would be so much more fulfilled if they told a story that was real to them. It doesn't even have to be something like that that's going to get an emotional tug or get such a big response to it. But if you put something out there that is sincere and real to you, I mean, Jason said he's been sitting on those for months, is what he said, and that he doesn't even like to look back at them because it freaked him out that he even had that mindset that what if they mistake my camera for a gun? And it's one of those things to where there are so many people, whether no matter what social class, no matter what color of skin, and no matter what ideology or religion, can tell a story just as powerful as important, but they're too busy looking at what in this moment will get me to the place where I want to be with the 10,000 followers, with the getting followed by this person, with getting recognized by this company, with making my own book, with being on YouTube and stuff like that. And it's just pretty crazy how so many people, I don't want to say cripple, but they'll cut off their own creativity and their own voice in order to sound like someone that looks like they're on a successful path. And it's just pretty wild how that happens so often.
Especially in a craft like photography, where your canvas is outside. Like you really have to become a magician. And by magician, I mean, you need to master your tool in a way that people won't even be able to fathom, average people, how well you're using it. But you need to master your environment also. Like when we say this whole telling a story thing, yes, there's emotion. Yes, there's the aspects of the photographer's skill, the photographer's perspective, experiences, etc. But the story, what better one to tell than where you're at? I mean, no one else is really doing this in Cleveland in the way that I'm trying to do it. And I don't mean that as a flex. I just mean that as when I go out, I'm trying to genuinely see and learn about people. I'm trying to genuinely see and learn about where I'm at and give back some sort of energy, some sort of entertainment, some sort of fulfillment through photography. If you're trying to do something that someone else in London is doing, you have to photograph London way differently than Austin, Texas.
Exactly. Exactly. But they will make sure you can't tell where they're from. I mean, all that shit looks just, oh man, exactly.
You could, Lee, I could mail you my camera and you could mail D yours and D mail you his, or we all just switch cameras so that we can shoot like each other, but our images will not look like each other. Exactly. It's just not going to work because we're in different places and we're different people.
Yes, sir.
So it's like, it's like right in your face. And I just don't get the confusion that people find sometimes.
Yeah. I think it's pretty important that people recognize, and it's not because anyone here is being stuck up or anyone's being stuck up or gatekeeping. Like, follow who you want to follow, be inspired, but
absolutely
in the idea that a lot of people, and I only bring this stuff up because people talk to me about this on Instagram. People will DM me or comment and stuff like that. The amount of people that are unhappy with photography just because they're taking similar images to someone who has a lot of likes using the similar hashtags and they're not getting the same response. The amount of people that are struggling with that is really crazy. The fact that in my DMs right now, I can go through at least 5 people in the last week that have referenced that. And in the comments from my last video, there's about 4 to 5, if not 8, 9 people that have said the exact same thing. There is a huge disconnect between the artist and himself versus the artist and someone else's art. And that is crazy to think that you have such a disconnect from you and yourself and your art versus what someone else is doing. And again, it goes back to the same thing that I think about it. Man, you know what? I would love to be known as myself than ever be known as someone who, his what is it? Inspirations must have come from this person, this person. That is wild to me. Why anyone would ever want to be that. I think of do you guys remember what is it? The Pentatonics, that cover band or something like that, or like a cover band? Would you rather have someone singing your songs and doing a crowd of 8,000 people and them singing your song back to you, or be the world's greatest cover band and just being on stage selling a few Christmas albums, but no one ever singing a song that came out of your heart? What would you rather be? And that's what people have to decide. Would you rather fill out a stadium because your Christmas Michael Bublé covers are totally fucking banging? Or would you rather have people recognize you for the artist you are and your full scope of your talent and what has been birthed inside of you? And that's the thing, that there is a huge disconnect in that, I feel like, just from talking to people, because, and it's not even to blame it on social media. One of my mentors, she told me that that's been happening ever since like photographers became, well known and big. When Walter Luce started getting big and people knew him and what he was doing, I think with Team USA and stuff like that, people wanted to shoot like that and they wanted to switch their camera. When marketing people started giving cameras to people in the early 2000s, stuff like that, the digital came out and people are using them. People wanted to switch just for that. And you have this whole generation of YouTubers and people that have deals and stuff. And it's wild, these ambassadorships and stuff. But it's just crazy to think that what people are more concerned, what a lot of people, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of people are more concerned about is if I can just get people to know my name now, I'll finally be able to do what I want to do later. And it doesn't work like that. You are a slave to what you have sold yourself as in that moment.
We can't be a diet version of anybody. We just got to go full ass on it. But that's what I'm trying to do, man. Just go full out.
Oh, full out. I thought you said full ass.
I did. Okay. I decided to change it. I decided to change it, my bro.
Okay.
I completely agree. And the thing is, if somebody does, to go along with the metaphor, want to be the best cover band, that's fine. I mean, everybody doesn't want to be, a renowned, relatively known, legendary photographer, and that's totally fine. But for those people who do want to stick out, I mean, there's only one way to do that, and that's by being yourself. And it's so crazy how, like, the answer to complicated life questions is always just like the easiest stuff. Like, just be yourself. But like,
just live, dude.
That's really what it is. Like, I remember when I was starting out, like I tell you guys all the time, am hyper thankful for discovering Steve McCurry's work. And I remember when I first started doing street photography, all I wanted to do was make portraits like his. And I tried, and I did. And it literally wasn't until I started shooting like myself, or he finally gave me the follow.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was. I'm at LA Fitness, just got done busting ass at the basketball court. I'm drinking some water, and then I get the notification, and it's like, wow, like I started being myself, and this happens.
Exactly.
It's the weirdest thing. And, people who say that imitation is flattery. I mean, you ever have a little kid imitate you? It's kind of annoying.
It's annoying real quick, man. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I agree, man. Well, before we wrap up, man, is there anything that you guys want to touch on? Anything coming up with you guys, or any questions, or any kind of things you guys want to pros for the group before we're barely getting to an hour, so this is kind of short for us a little bit.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
I was like 20 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. Wow, yeah, we're barely rounding out near an hour.
Wow. Honestly, the main thing is Cleveland had 33 consecutive days of snow, so that's why I haven't made a video, because I'm not trying to damage my gear. But it's finally warm out. I'm going to be whipping out this 28, thanks to you guys, and hopefully sticking to that for at least the next 3-4 months. So we'll see. Yeah. What about you, Lee?
I mean, overall, we can just sum this discussion up by referencing an old internet video. Juice is temporary, sauce is forever. So you gotta,
Forever, bro.
yep,
Sauce. is forever,
absolutely.
bro.
But yeah, man, just keep shooting, and I'll keep shooting too, and we'll get better together, man. Like I'm not even
Absolutely.
just talking about exclusively us as a group. I want everybody to get better.
Yeah.
That's what we all want. You know?
That's truly been one of the most gratifying parts of this gestational period of the YouTube journey, man. Just like seeing all these people who just want to get better, like all these people who love the same thing that we love. Like it's extremely gratifying, and it's just cool to see just the little tips and things that people say.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
What about you, D?
I mean, I harp on the same thing every time, man. Just tell your story and whatnot. You don't have to shoot. Bokeh is beautiful. It's amazing. Blurred backgrounds and portraits look great. But bro, just there's a time and a place for it. Like, just try something different. Because I can't tell your images apart from everyone else's. But no, man. I'm hoping to do more podcasts like that and start making videos again and everything. I think I need to make a GFX video. That way I can get back in good graces and see where that goes. Fingers crossed. Shout out to you. Hoping to do more of these. I'm hoping to get, so my lineup for the next few weeks that I'm hoping to get on with this. I got the premium package now. I got the premium package of Zoom. I got the premium package, so I can get
nice
as many people as I want for 30 hours of recording. So I got the premium package. We ain't gonna get cut off nowhere. But I'm of course gonna reach out to Edward, my boy Eddie G.
We love you, Eddie.
Whoa,
Eddie. My boy Lonnie. I want to get my boy Lonnie on here.
Handsome Lonnie.
Shout out to
handsome Lonnie. Got to get Lonnie on here.
Too tall.
Too tall. I'm gonna see
more.
I'm gonna see about getting the boy Sir again. I gotta play my. I gotta see if he's available and reach back out. But I want to see if I can get because this is a dude who I started following probably in the last couple of months. But man, I really like his portfolio. It's actually Sire Roman. And
Jason's brother.
Dude, yeah, Sire has some sick shit on his
bro. He makes the Fuji's work, bro.
Out.
Yeah, dude. I really like Sire stuff, dude. Like honestly, he's killing that X Pro 3. I really wish he would do more videos to show his stuff, dude, because he's literally in the streets and he's not in Times Square, like downtown, like in the city. He's literally going to like these little boroughs and stuff like that, man, and just kicking it. And Sire's got some good ass shots, dude. So Sire Roman's someone that I want to get on here, and then hopefully my boy Ryan Troy can jump on again. But yeah, man, I want to get some people on here with us just to get some different opinions. I love talking about street photography. Especially with you guys, just because I mean, street photography is pure, man. We can talk specs. I was on an Instagram live with someone a while back, man, and we were talking about portrait photos, and it just became how sharp lenses are. We just kept focusing on our images and talk about lighting. But man, street, you got some crazy ass stories and stuff with it. It's fantastic. This weekend I was taking a photo, and I was standing in front of a barbershop. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a photo of this window, bro. And I noticed this dude try to cup his hand and start covering up like that. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? It's 9 a.m. in the morning and bro's double fisting Modelos.
Oh, nice.
In the barbershop. That was some shit right there. Boy didn't even look old enough to rent a car. So I'm not even sure, if he was, but that boy was double fisted, had a couple Modelos in his hands, man. So shout out to him. Shout out to him. He'll never see that shit, but Modelo time. So that's it, my guys. I appreciate it, man. I really do.
It's lovely.
It's been great. Glad talking, man. Nice talking to you guys.